Hello, this is Samantha, and today we're going to do a beginner yoga class that focuses on opening up the neck and the low back. The neck and the low back are related, and they're both areas that could get really tight from our sitting positions and the way that we posture our body through the day. So today's class, we're going to think about lengthening, softening, and opening up the neck and the low back areas. A lot of times we tense and get tight there. So we're going to think about not only making it longer in the waist and the neck, but also tapering it inward. So we'll start kneeling or seated in a chair, and we'll just do some gentle head tilts. Now the tendency here is to twist on the axis or to drop the back of the head and just totally collapse, but we're going to resist that. We're going to tilt from side to side. All right, so we can start with the head on the top of the head just to help keep your pretty face towards me. So if you notice your head is starting to twist, turn your face back towards me. And we're just tilting and making the side of the neck longer. So we hardly ever do this kind of tilting. And breathe into the lengthening of that left side neck. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure with my right hand, just a little bit. To provide myself with a little bit more support, I'm going to take my left hand and wrap it around the back of my neck, all the way around, like I'm wearing one of those white foam neck braces. And if my ponytail was in here, you'd probably be able to see my little fingers poking through. That's how much of my neck I have. So now I've got a firm neck brace. I'm tilting my head to the right. The left neck is getting long. And I can actually press the back of my head back a little bit more to open the throat. And I'm just going to tilt, lengthening, getting the left side neck long, being really gentle. We're not used to opening up our neck this way, laterally. Breathing into that. And I can feel mine opening. One fascial line is just popping open. Being gentle. Coming back center. And then we'll switch. So I'm going to take my left hand to the top of my head. I'm going to keep my face pointed towards you. Then I'm going to tilt. So it didn't really tilt over that much. I'm just thinking about getting longer and taller in the neck. And then stretching out the right side. I'm going to touch it and just give it permission to relax and soften. And maybe start to pulse a little bit. So notice my chin's trying to go straight. I'm more flexible twisting, but I'm not looking to get more flexible where I already am. I'm trying to focus on gaining flexibility in areas I'm tight. I just want to take the right hand, give myself a neck brace. Wrap the elbow forward, tilt the back of the head back, and then just help myself. Tilting over. So the hand on the back of the neck, make sure I stay long in the neck. Good. And then breathe into that, release. And then we'll do some little movements. So I'm going to take my head into infinity sign. And I'm thinking about lifting the crown of my head towards the ceiling. So I'm still keeping the neck really long. And I'm trying to isolate just the head here. Soften the palate. Separate the back teeth. And go the other way. Infinity, or a figure eight if you like to call it. I'm keeping the neck long the whole while. Good. And then I'm going to come to a chair now. So if you're already in a chair, you're in a good spot. If you're not, mindfully find yourself to a seated position. So I'm going to use this chair here. And I'm going to mindfully sit down. So I'll back up towards the chair, get my weight into the balls of my feet, toes down. And I'm going to sit my hips back, make my belly long. And I'm thinking about aiming my pubic bone for the chair and aiming my tailbone towards the ceiling. So keep my belly long as I sit down, spread the sits bones, and I sit down on my thigh bones. My tailbone is lifted up off the floor, it's not even touching. Cool. And then I'm going to think about filling my ribs all the way around. So what I'm doing here is I'm separating my hips from my ribs. My waistline, which includes my low back, is getting longer here. And I can even push myself away from my legs. Lift my ribs even higher. Good. Now I'll take my feet into the floor. My paw, or the front part of my foot, is pressing into the floor. Cut off a little bit on the camera. There we go. So my feet are in front of my knees. I'm pressing the paw down into the floor, and I'm doing an energetic drag back, which activates the back of the leg. So what's that doing is it's rooting the lower half of my body. So the upper half of my body is free to lift and soar. And I'm going to take my hands to dome hands on the tops of my legs, and I'm going to start to do some circling rib isolation. So I'll move the ribs in a circle, and you can feel how that separates your ribs from your hips even more. I'll go the other way. And then I'll take it in a figure eight. And then take it the other way in a figure eight. In the rib cage, isolating here. These kind of moves will get you good on the dance floor, or get you ready for the dance floor. All right, so lifting the ribs far away from the hips, breathing into that area, filling the ribs all the way. And then let's do the same thing that we did with our head earlier. I'm going to turn around, you can see me a little bit more. So I've got the feet in the place, tailbone lifted, belly long, and I'm going to tilt my head once more. So I'm just lengthening, tilting my head to the left, lengthening the right side of the neck. And then just for support, I'm taking my right hand, giving a firm grip all the way to the back side of the neck. And then I can open my throat. Tilt it over to the left a little more. Point your elbows forward and push your shoulder blades away from each other. Open your throat again. Tilt your head to the left a little bit more this time. Start to tilt your whole torso. Now, your legs and hips are rooted in place, so there's a safety there. Start to pulse. The right ribs start to open up. And then come back up center. And then we'll switch hands. The right hand will go to the top of the head. Keep your face towards me. And then feel that pull, the opening on the left side neck. Give it a couple pulses. Bring the left hand wrap around the back of the neck. Open the throat. Arc over. And the ribs. So the left ribs start opening. Good. Now come back up. Beautiful. Good. Now we're going to bring the right hand to the back of the head. Get the whole back of your head in your hand. And then bring the left hand to the back of the neck. Get the whole back of your neck in the hand. And Now wrap both elbows forward. Push the back of the head into the right hand, and that will feel opening under your right armpit. Lift your ribs away from your waist, so get real long there. Drag back energetically your heels so the legs are turned on. And I'm going to show you from the side what's going on here. I am pushing my head back into my hand, and I am pushing my neck forward with my left hand. And I'm using both hands to lift my head away from my ribs, and I'm using my ribs to lift away from my hips. I'm pressing my feet strongly into the floor and pulling the heels back. Your heels can hover off the floor here. Lift the head, lift the heart, and then start to pulse backwards. Breathe into big ribs. Maybe you can open up a little bit more in the belly. Keep filling into that low back rib area. So this area right here, we need to keep it full, or else we'll collapse into the sensitive area right here. So keep breathing big there. Keep your feet pulling back on the floor. Good. Beautiful. Now release the left arm and pretend like you're pressing it into a shelf. Point the elbow outward. Push the hand into a shelf. Push it down and then open your belly. Lean your head back into your hand. Whew. Let's switch sides. Right hand goes behind the back of the head. Left hand reaches forward, energetically pushes down onto an imaginary shelf. Pull your head up out of your body. Tilt your head back to open your throat. Keep the back of your neck long. And then push your right hand down to imaginary resistance to help you lift and open and bow your belly. Staying tall in the waist. We're not collapsing in the low back here. Good. Whew. Nice work. All right. So now we're going to take one leg and we're going to cross it over the knee. So I took my right leg, crossing it towards the knee. I'm going to keep the sole of my foot pointed at the floor, and I'm pulling the pinky toe side of the foot towards me. So that's the opposite of sickling. So this is sickling. This is the opposite of that. So I'm pulling the pinky toe side of the foot towards me, and I'm letting the toes just curl softly towards the floor. If they pull up, you can convince them with your hand to point down. Okay? So this right knee is not collapsed down, it's pulling up. And then I can take my left hand to my heel and give it a pressure to pull back into. So now I've got the back of the right leg engaged. I'm pressing the left paw into the floor, pulling that back so my legs are both engaged strongly. Cool. There we go. And I can take my right hand to the back of the head, wrap the elbow forward, and lean my head back, making my neck long. Left hand goes to the outer knee, and then I'm going to twist, but I'm going to keep my chin in line with my breastbone when I twist. So I'm only twisting at the waist. So the tendency here is to open the elbow. I'm not going to do that. I'm keeping my elbow towards my nose, keeping my chin in line with my breastbone. Twisting, twisting, twisting. Good. All right. Let's switch. Left leg up. The sole of the foot towards the floor, pulling up the pinky toe side of the foot, so the opposite of a sickle. Let your toes curl downward gently, and then resist the knee upward. Take your right hand to your left heel, and then pull your heel back into that hand, so you know what it feels like to turn on the back of the leg. Good. Press your right paw into the floor, energetically pull the heel back. Now both legs are engaged. Wow, it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I'm losing my breath here. It's a lot of work. Take the left hand to the back of the head. Commit to keeping your elbow towards your nose and your chin in line with your sternum. Take your right hand to the outside of the left knee, and we start to twist open. We're doing a lot right now. While you twist, you can also lean back into that hand. So lean back into your headrest hand to bow your belly, to bow your neck. Good, one more twist. Nice, beautiful. Get your feet on the floor, toes down, heels light, and then seaweed sway in your chair. So this is a good thing to do throughout the day. The feet and the legs and the hips are grounded, and the ribs are moving side to side laterally. The arms are just swaying, following the ribs. It's a fun little dance. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, now we're going to stand up from the chair, the opposite of how we sat down. So I'll get rooted in the feet. Lift the tailbone, the pubic bone points at the floor. Reach the arms forward, lean forward, lift up, tailbone lifts first, and then we come to standing. Move the chair out of the way. And then we'll come to the floor mindfully. So to do that, I'm going to step wide, bend the knees real deep, and then bring the hands to the floor one at a time, and then walk the feet back. Knees to the floor lightly. All right, so we're in hands and knees position, but we're going to turn it up a notch. So squeeze the base palms, and then push your back towards the ceiling. So the whole back lifts towards the ceiling. Okay, now press the tops of the feet into the floor. Press your knees away from each other to lift the tailbone. So yes, we're lifting the back and we're lifting the tailbone at the same time. So there's a curve in at the lumbar spine. Breathe in, big ribs. And you can pretend like you've got that hand behind your head still and you're pushing your head up into it. If you've got the strength, you can actually put your hand there like I did and do that. But it takes a lot, I know. It's beyond some beginner's capacity. Keep the heart, the rib cage moving away from the floor. And then we're going to tuck our toes under, squeeze the palms, elbows wide, and we'll lift up to a hands and knees position. This is called crouching cat. Now notice the rib cage is full. It's not falling. The whole rib cage, even my low ribs, are lifting towards the ceiling. I'm pressing my feet really hard away from each other to move my sits bones up and my tailbone up. Good, and then I'm pressing the back of my head back to make my neck long. Good, I'll stay here, pulse a little bit, and then I'll swivel my toes and knees to the right. Yeah, and then sit my hips down on the floor by my heels. We're seated on our side hip. Keep your hands connected and do a couple pulses here. Yeah, so I set my hips behind my ribs. So my butt is still sticking out behind me. And that way I can work on lengthening the waistline and opening up the fascia that crosses right here at the belly and the low back. One more pulse. Notice I still kept my feet connected. That's going to make it easier to lift back up and go to the other side. All right, you ready? Push your feet into the floor. Lift back up, hips high, ribs high, and then all toes stay down. Swivel the heels to the right, toes and knees to the left, and then sit the hips down on the floor. Hips behind you, hips real far back. Yeah, find a pulse. One more. Good. Tuck your toes under. Lift back back up to the crouching cat. And we're going to do what we did in the chair. So I'm going to cross my right ankle over the left knee. Pull the pinky toe side towards the knee. And then I'm going to lower both knees to the floor. The tendency here is to lower the knees towards the hands, but I'm going to try to lower the knees towards the feet. So I've got a longer distance between my knees and hands. Good. Press the tops of both feet into the floor and lift the ankles. Keep your ribs high here and resist your right ankle into your left knee. Good. And then you can move the hips right and left. And if it feels good for you, and if you can keep your tailbone lifted, you can lower your elbows to the floor here. And do a little pulses here. So doesn't look like much, but we are really engaged and opening. Tuck your chin to your chest and then lift up the scruff of your neck. Pull it towards the ceiling. And now open your throat. Keep both sides of the neck long. The waist and the neck get really long. And then let's lift back up. Walk the hands in. Tuck the back toes under. Lift up back into crouching cat. And then I'm going to cross the left ankle over the right knee. Lower both knees to the floor under your hips. And we press the tops of the feet into the floor. And wiggle your hips side to side so it might feel a little bit easier on this side to go left and right, or it might be harder. So sometimes people are so flexible in the low back that their low ribs sink down. Right now, look what I'm doing. But I want to keep the low ribs lifted as well. That'll keep us from straining the low back. Some people are so tight in the low back that the tailbone tucks under. But we gotta learn to soften that. Press your knees away from each other. Let that area lengthen, get longer, get juicy. All right, let's take it down to the elbows if you can and feel comfortable. Pull your hips back. Use your arms to pull your ribs forward. And a couple pulses here. Tuck your chin to your chest. Lift the scruff of your neck. Get long. Now open your throat. We bow to bow. Beautiful. Let's lift back up. Tuck the toes under. And then swivel onto your left or your right hip. Good. And then we'll slide to the side. Rolling onto your back. Once on your back, keep your knees bent and pull your tailbone out. Wrap your arms. Give yourself a hug arm. Pull your shoulder blades out from under the floor. You can rock it open. And then walk your ribs back. Okay. Stretch your legs long, one at a time. And then release the arms. Open your throat so your ears tilt back, but keep long on the back of the neck. Separate your back teeth. Dome your palate. Start to deepen and slow your breath. And start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing awareness back into your body. Move your lips and your face. And then roll over onto one side. When you're ready, place one hand in front of your chest. And then tilt your pelvis so the ribs start to rise. Let that neck be long and the head pointed at the floor. Slide and glide yourself up. Seated, head comes up last. Come to Sukhasana or easy pose. Breathe into the big rib cage. Press your hand palms together. Thank you for practicing today.